what you got. Show them how you get up in your bag.
Show them that swag. What you see is what you get. When I look in the mirror, I'm looking like a man. Like we playing tag bad, I'm the top pick. Show them what you're working with. Break the circuit, be a hit. Go ahead and make them sit. If you gotta hate it, then your purpose is equipped. Tell them catch you later, cause you serving up some grits. Meaning hot with the drip when I drop in the mix. The proof is in the pudding. Show them how you do it. They do it like they shouldn't. You don't need to brag, cause your competition couldn't. You don't need to boast, cause the proof is in the pudding. Show them that swag. Show them that swag. Show them that swag. Show them that swag. Show them what you got. Show them how you get up in your bag. Show them that swag.
All right, guys, just to go over what we're going to talk about today. And I'm Stevie. For those of you guys who do not know, I am one of the studio success managers here at PhotoDay. And today we're going to be talking about mastering your marketing with PhotoDay. Just some housekeeping. If you guys have questions as we go along, I won't answer them. Well, maybe, but I'll try not to answer them in the middle because, you know, I can go off on tangents. If you guys want to ask a question, I'll answer it at the end, and you can leave it in the Q&A section of the chat. There's two different sections. There is a regular chat area. Please sound off there. I love to see the engagement as we go. It helps me keep going. But if you have questions, put those in Q&A. I'll answer them at the end once we get through everything. So, okay. So today we're talking about marketing. We're going to be going over creating a marketing strategy that works. I find that super important when you're selling online. And I'm going to go over the features that PhotoDay offers that will make that easy to create a solid stream of communication with your customers and create good engagement. And yeah, so if you're just getting started, this will be super important. If you're already using PhotoDay, this will be helpful as well. It's super important to create a strategy beforehand and stick to it over and over again to have success selling online. You want to teach your customers what to expect, and you want to encourage them to, you know, buy early and opt in and be locked into all your communication. So we're going to go over all the pieces that come together to create a strong marketing strategy. And yeah. All right. Without further ado, let's get started. All right. So most of us expect brands to improve our quality of life. So especially in this day and age, like with social media and paid ads, and, you know, you're getting flooded with brand content and advertisements all day, every day. And all these brands are explaining to you, you know, how they can improve your quality of life or why you should choose their product. You know, it's from the moment you wake up in the morning, you're using toothpaste that says it's going to give you whiter teeth, or you're choosing foods that say they're the healthiest choice, or you're using moisturizer that, you know, says it's going to stop you from aging. And that is why you choose those products over others, just based off how they're going to improve your life or benefit you. So as a photographer, I think you can focus on that as well. You know, not only by offering images that capture memories in a beautiful way, but also if you're selling online, or if you're making it really easy for parents to access those photos and order and have lots of choices, that improves their quality of life. You know, that improves their picture day experience, and you should share all that. That should be a part of your brand messaging. So now, first things first, and this is information that is super important no matter what topic I'm talking about. But when you're selling online, images are everything. So your customers are viewing the images right off the bat. Before they ever choose what they want to buy, they're seeing the images, and that is going to help them choose what they want. It is extremely important to have images that your customers cannot pass up on purchasing when you're selling online. Everybody has a smartphone. Everybody can capture the basic image of their athlete of their student right at the beginning of fall at their convenience. People have a really skewed perspective of that, but that's, you know, kind of the world we live in. So as a professional photographer in this day and age, it is so important to, you know, have your images stand apart from photos that parents take on the day-to-day, or parents believe they can take. I mean, you know, those are two different things. But So, you want to make sure you're staying on trend or current with your look. And you're also creating images that are high quality and, far above what people can capture on their own. And also parents are buying images, season after season or school year or school semester after school semester. So if you're not keeping up with trends and constantly, updating your look or updating your quality as time passes, I feel like that can lead to decreasing participation. So you need to be switching it up within reason, just keeping up with the trends. And on top of that, it's important to offer a variety of images. So especially with PhotoDay, parents can choose multiple different images within their order. They can mix and match depending on, in a package. Therefore, the more images you offer, the higher chance for, a larger order. And I would also say, like, you don't know exactly what expression or what look or what pose parents love. Of course, you can pick the best one. And, with paper order forms, you kind of have to. But once you sell online, you can give multiple options. If you get a picture of a kid crying, you wouldn't fulfill a whole order of that picture, but the parent might love that, if it captures their personality, if it's, if it's their favorite little smirk their kid does, the more options you offer, the higher your chance for a larger order. So very important. That is the key, the number one key. But on top of that, communication is the other super important part of selling online. If you have great images and you don't have strong connection, strong engagement, if you don't create a sense of urgency, and you don't get people locked in, they're not going to come by those photos, even if you took them. So these are the elements of creating strong connections with your customers. And I'm going to be breaking each of these down, but just to go over them high level, starting with connection. First, most important thing is creating a strong relationship and line of communication with the organizations. They need to know you as a person. First of all, you don't want to just communicate by cold emails and, not have a lot of face-to-face time or phone time and then just show up. They're not going to feel connected to you. They're not going to feel that draw to speak for your brand or speak for that upcoming picture day if they don't know you and your brand as personally. So I think that is super important. They need to be acquainted with how you run things and what's important to you to make the shoot go well, and to, service the people that are a part of the organization. So that's super important. And it's also important that you take the time to understand how things work with their organization as well. So we're going to go over the questions you need to ask and all that. But that is going to be how you can efficiently connect with their end customers at the end of the day. So you've got to know those things. Engagement. So number one, you need to have a system in place that makes it easy to get your customers' attention and, keep them in, get them engaged, and ultimately, get them to purchase. So you want to communicate with them in the ways that they are used to. You can use multiple different methods of communication. You can also communicate early and go ahead and get them to opt in and engage early. So that way they are ready when pictures are ready and that excitement is being built up. And then you need to use a workflow and a selling solution that automates the marketing so that you're not having to go in and remember to send out, reminders to order or, use something that is easy for you and that helps you create that engagement. PhotoDay does a great job of that, and I will explain those details. So creating a sense of urgency is important. So you're selling online. That means that your customers have a little bit more control over when they're going to buy. So selling online and, the convenience of that can be a big selling point for your customers, but you need to come back around and make sure that you're creating a sense of urgency so that they're encouraged to get their orders placed soon and not kind of waiting forever. We have a ton of ways to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to go over those. And you need to just put those into a strategy that is going to get people to go in and purchase in a timely manner. So we have things like, time-based incentives you can use. I'll go over what that means. We have AdvancePay. We have gallery expiration and best pricing. We have a ton of different ways that you can get people on the ball. Go ahead and get them in there. Of course, when you're ordering online, I do this, like I'll have a cart on Amazon and I'll like delete things, move things and choose what I want. But if Amazon told me I could get 20% off if I ordered in the next 2 hours, I would be a lot quicker about going ahead and pressing place my order. So that is super, super important. And then lastly, incentive, kind of, you can use incentives to create a sense of urgency, but you can use them in a lot of different ways. You can also do like spend-based incentives. So things like spend $100, get 15% off. It's just super important to incentivize purchases when selling online. You can do that with AdvancePay. You can do that with offers. So yeah. Okay, so connection is first, and it starts with the organization. So again, super important to get acquainted with them. They need to know you as a person, but you also need to ask questions. I feel like this can be really feel good for the organization. Of course, it has a way more literal purpose of like figuring out how you're going to do things, but I would say it's a courtesy to ask them questions about what works best for them. So they feel like, you want to make the experience as tailored to them as possible. So as far as questions to ask, number one, how do you communicate important information? So this is super, super important. Parents are going to be dialed into whatever stream of communication that the organization usually uses. Of course, if the organization uses social media and you start sending emails, that's great. And if you have emails, please send them. But you need to know that, hey, parents, if there's rain out days or if there's, upcoming fundraiser or whatever, and they use social media, provide them with a social post, or, do they have a chat service, or do they send text messages? Do coaches communicate to each individual team? You need to learn exactly what they do to communicate, and you need to send the information that way. You can use multiple. I say that a lot, but, don't just choose one. You can use all the tools PhotoDay offers, communicate in as many different ways as possible. So people never, have to search for a long time to find that information, but definitely find out what parents are used to. Okay, where can we include picture day information? Where can you put picture day information on site, or, what material are they already passing out that you can include your information on? I would ask if parents are used to receiving in-person or, tangible materials, or if you're able to put marketing information out at the gym or at the school or in the front office. If parents are used to that, or if you have the option to do that, absolutely take advantage of it. Whether that's yard signs and or posters, especially if you don't see parents on the day of the shoot, it'll be great to, put a poster up where the kids usually play their games. Parents are going to be at games and they'll walk in the door and they'll see picture day information. The bottom line is, people want to see the pictures. People want to buy pictures. You just have to get that information to them. So another super important thing, something that I always ask, when I'm working with studios and figuring out the best way to tackle, their specific organizations and form a strategy, is, will you see parents at the shoot? So if you're seeing parents on site on picture day, that is super valuable. That is going to be your chance to get face-to-face. It's a time when picture day is going to be, right in the front and center of their mind. I can't promise you that that's going to be the case in busy parents' life at any other time. But when they're there, and they have their kid already and they're standing there, you have the chance to explain, how the process works, explain what they need to do, which is opt in very simply, since they're ordering online. But that's a super, super valuable time if you get that. So opt-ins are super important. We have text marketing. I'm going to go over all the different marketing options, but if you can get parents opted in, they'll receive a text when pictures are ready. So if you can have somebody on site that walks them through the process of opting in for the job, then that's going to be it. You have their attention fully at that time. You can explain it to them, explain the purpose, and get them locked in, and then they're ready to go. If you're selling AdvancePay, I would say that a lot of AdvancePay credits are sold on the day of the shoot if you're seeing parents, because, if you have somebody on site and they're able to explain the importance or the benefit, that can be way more valuable than, written word or explanations in emails. So I would say when you see parents on site, that could be when you receive the most opt-ins or sell the most AdvancePay credits, and you want to use that to your benefit for sure. Okay, and then how can they help get the information out alongside you? So, like I said, people are used to getting information from the organization. They're going to pay attention to that communication, without a doubt, because they want to, they have to. So in addition to all the things that you send out, all the marketing materials that you provide, you can also have the organization send that information directly. Parents are paying attention to that. You really need to figure out what all your options are. I wouldn't say to rely on the organization completely, but at the same time, I mean, sometimes that's your main option. You want to use as many options as possible, but this is something that you should do without a doubt anyways. And then communicating early and often. So like I said, if you send things out in advance, whether you're selling AdvancePay or not, people are going to be getting ready for picture day. They want to know exactly what that date is, first of all. So communicating early can be helpful in that respect, but you can also start collecting opt-ins before picture day. If you're getting the text opt-ins before you release the gallery, before you hit publish, then people are going to receive that full marketing series that we send out by text. So, if you're sending out the information for the first time when you publish, people are going to be missing out on that reminder series that we've created to get people engaged. It's really important to get the opt-ins early. And then communicating often, if you're using PhotoDay, we have pretty much crafted and perfected a communication series by email and by text. And that's going to remind people in a very, in a conservative way, but often at the same time. So, all right. So flyers and posters. If parents are not able to find the picture day information, they're never going to see their pictures. So if you have the ability to post posters up or pass out flyers, especially if you're coming from paper forms and people are used to getting something, tangible or getting something sent home in a backpack, maybe it's a good idea, even though you're selling online, to send out something that can be sent home. So PhotoDay has a ton of resources for these types of things. I'm going to get into that in the next slide, but you can use these, leave them at the school for parents to see, at a game. If parents are on site, you can have a piece of marketing like this so that you have signage that explains what they need to do. You can have a QR code that gets them opted in or points them to the gallery. That way it makes it easy. When parents come up, you can just say, hey, what you need to do is right here on this poster, just text the code to 90738 or just scan the QR code and enter your phone number and you'll be locked in. So you want to have the information accessible in as many ways as possible. And here are some examples of the templates that we have. So we have more detailed instruction templates, especially if this is your first time using PhotoDay for an organization. You can share something like that. We have templates for cards if you need to pass something out to everyone. We also have banner and poster templates. And we have a bunch of different options, whether you're using AdvancePay or not. So it's going to be on the resources tab, which is right up at the top right of your studio account, and then under the marketing kit. So check that out. There's a bunch of different kinds. Also social media graphics. So if you guys have the option to post on, to have the org post on social media, or if you have a following and can post on social media, we have little templates available for you guys. So you can use these as is. You can just plug your information onto them and, use them. You can also just take elements of these and, make them more your own. That way you're not having to come up with the instructions, right off the bat. You want to make it easy for yourself. We provide all those resources for you and you can use them in whichever way works best for you. So. Okay. And one other tidbit I like to explain, if you have in-person marketing, some people will print something like that poster on the right-hand side and leave it blank, and they'll reuse, a piece of more permanent marketing at the shoots, but they'll just put the access code on. I think that's a really efficient way to do it, especially if you need a piece of in-person marketing, if you see parents often and you don't want to like order a poster every single time you have a shoot, be smart about it. Use these, make them blank and put a piece of paper every time with the QR code and the access code. I think that's really smart. I think it's a really good tip. So, okay, emails. So if you can get parent emails, you can use those to send the gallery information, and you can start marketing to those emails ahead of time. So whether or not you're using AdvancePay, like I said, you should send information out about the gallery and about Picture Day beforehand so people can start getting opted in. You can start with email marketing. That's going to give you the instructions that's going to get them opted in to text marketing. So sending emails to start, but ultimately with the emails, the goal is to get them opted in, and text marketing is by far the most effective marketing since people are always paying attention to text messages. Personally, I think emails are great. I look for emails from my kids' schools, for Picture Day and stuff like that often, but my email inbox can get pretty messy on the personal end. So, send the emails out, let the organization know that you're sending emails out to parents. So, they can tell parents where to find their gallery information. And then once they get those initial emails early, ahead of Picture Day, 2 weeks before or whatever, they can follow the instructions and get opted in. PhotoDay has a ton of email marketing tools. So we have automatic campaigns for private galleries, automatic campaigns for group and public galleries to your opt-ins. And then we also have manual emails that you can send out for the job. So those are called manual flyers. If you use those, there's templates already set up. So that is what is showing in this screenshot here. When you create a manual flyer, it's just going to generate a description and a title for you already. If you want to change any of that, or if you want to add an image in that kind of, brings it back to your branding or has a picture from a previous season, you can customize them in that way. But this just makes it easy. Again, like you're not having to start from scratch and write those instructions out. I know that can stump people a lot. So I think that's one really valuable thing that PhotoDay does marketing wise is we write that out for you. And, we've created the copy in a way that is simple and, holds people's attention without being a lot for people to digest. So, but most important takeaway here, start early. Sending emails right when you publish, it's great, but it's going to take people longer and longer to engage. If you get them to send or check their email early and get opted in, they're going to get a text by the time pictures are ready. If you're relying on emails, that's going to come in maybe a little slower. So, okay. And then social media. So this is a big one. Number one, if you find out that the organization has a really active social media, you can provide them with a social graphic that they can post to their page. A lot of organizations use social media. I know, like for instance, with my son's baseball, if there's a rain out, like they're going to post it on the Facebook group before the coach gets off work and, has a chance to text us as a team. And parents are always on their phone. Parents are always scrolling. And the more they engage with that page or the more they look at the post, the higher up it's going to be on their timeline or whatever. So that being said, find out if the org has a social media and have them post if they can. Now, if you guys have social media, I think it's important to start using that as you can. I mean, not every organization maybe will want you to make a post about a gallery release, but if the organizations are comfortable with that, you can start directing people to your social media and you could tell them that you post important updates there. And you can build a following over time. I think that has a lot of benefits. Number one, you can use it to share gallery information, but you can also use it to just create excitement in general. Like if you're posting some of your favorite photos from each shoot, people are going to get excited. They're going to be like, oh my goodness, I can't wait till I get baseball pictures done or, school pictures done by this company. They're going to be waiting and, checking in and getting excited. So there's a lot of benefits to using your social media and, over time you can build that following and people will tune into that. They'll know where to look. And that goes back to my main point of consistency and, posting things in the same place or sending information out consistently in the same way. That way your customers know where to look every time. And over time, it'll just be a well-oiled machine. People will know to check their email, know to look on social and wait for that release or just check their text. So, All right. So moving on to engagement. There are a number of different ways that you can create engagement. And there are things that PhotoDay offers that will do that as well. So starting with text marketing, like I said, I think that's our most valuable feature in general. People are checking their texts. I mean, if I get a text, I'm looking at it. And it's the most direct way to communicate. So PhotoDay has a really awesome text marketing series that goes out automatically for each job. I'll get into the details on that. AdvancePay. This can create engagement before picture day. I mean, you can offer AdvancePay as an optional, incentive. And even if it's optional, it can create engagement because people are going in and creating an account and, just checking out the options beforehand. You can also use special offers and discounts to encourage people to go in. You also want to have something that's easy to use. You want to have great pricing that is enticing and that speaks to your customers and what they want to buy. So, yes. All right. So let's dive into text marketing first. This brings picture day to parents. So like I said, you're switching away from paper. People aren't having to do all this crazy work on the day of pictures just to order. They can relax and then pictures can come to them and they can place a huge order. They can place an order with their glass of wine. And the text marketing makes it easy to get that information to them no matter what part of the day, they're in. This can create, you want to get the opt-ins. That's going to create the early engagement. That's going to get people to hop right in to the gallery right when pictures are ready. It also is a continuous line of communication. So like I said, we have perfected the reminder series. You guys don't have to remind parents to order, but there is a continuous reminder series. So just so you guys know how often that goes out, first text will go out when you publish. And then a text will go out on day 3, 5, 7, 14, and 30. If they order, that stops. So we take care of that. You don't want to bombard people. And then once they get to the text, they click the link and it's going to bring them right in. We give them a deep link. So whether you're using private galleries or group or public, by the time they've opted in, the text message is actually going to contain a link that brings them right in. So they don't have to click the link, then enter the access code, then, go through those steps. It's a path of least resistance. And they get right in. And the first thing you see is their pictures once they're logged in. And then we also have MPS text. So you can, after the parent orders, they get a text a few weeks later asking about their experience. And you can get feedback that way as well. I think it can be really valuable, especially if you take it, don't take it too harshly, but, use it to get better. I mean, I saw somebody post a book that they read and it was like, I'll have to look more into it, but it said complaints are a gift. So some people struggle with MPS. I totally get it, but it can be a really valuable way for you to realize what you need to focus on. And PhotoDay automatically sends that out. Okay, so when you're using text marketing, it is important to keep it cute. So here are some best practices just for in general, whether, no matter what software you're using for text marketing or, what you use it for with your business, these are important. So number 1, get your opt-ins. Don't spam them. You're telling people to opt in. They're trusting you. They're allowing you to text their mobile number. That is like a literal thing they have to agree to. That's what they're doing by opting in. And just so you know, PhotoDay, we've spent extensive time, learning the SMS rules and guidelines that are laws. So we abide by those. And then these best practices kind of also fall under that. So don't spam them. Don't irritate them. If you send too much communication in general, I think that just takes away from the value. We send those 5 texts. If they purchase, they stop. You don't want people to get pushed to the point of annoyance for whatever reason. So don't overdo it. You also want to explain why the parent is opting in and kind of what that means. I think, whether you're doing that on your marketing that you send out, if you see parents in person, that's a good time to explain it. But, tell them, hey, text this code. And that way you can get a text message when pictures are ready. You don't, it will remind you immediately. It's super convenient. And then, you can explain that it might remind them a few times and then it'll be done, whatever. PhotoDay gives customers the information on opting out. It is important with text marketing, and I think it's part of the guidelines, what you have to do. You need to give them a way to opt out. With our text specifically, at the end of each text, it says text opt to cancel. I'm sure you guys are familiar with text marketing. I feel like it's everywhere. Sometimes I'm like, why am I receiving texts to buy jeans? I'm like, I'm done buying jeans. But yeah, so you have to explain to them how they can get out of it. That is something PhotoDay does automatically. Also, you want to text during business hours or during your support hours. So I think that's important. Number one, text during business hours. I mean, you as photographers might work late. You have a lot going on. And sometimes, with the busy day to day, it's best to work at night. I get that. But you don't want to send a text when people are like laying in bed. So we do have like a limit on texts where they only go out before 8 p.m. If you publish after that, they're going to go out the next day. We learned the hard way with that. We didn't used to have that in place. And like I said, photographers work late. I get it. I do the same thing after my children are in bed and I don't have to think about anything else. But make sure that you're not texting people, at a rough time. I think that also goes for like, holidays or whatever. I would be mindful of that. Of course, sometimes you might remind someone on a holiday weekend or your reminders might go out at that point. I think that's fine, but make sure it's at a time where people are, ready to look at their phone. I think that's important. And then also during your support hours. So especially when you're first releasing a gallery, you don't want to like release on a Sunday afternoon, then go to the pool and leave your phone in your purse. You want to be able to answer people's questions while they're engaged, while they're trying to place an order. That way they don't get frustrated and just quit. That way you don't lose their engagement. I think that's super important, especially when you're starting out. And then lastly, I would say this is my favorite. Keep it short and sweet. I mean, you don't want to send out too much. And, over time, the more you send out, people are going to it's going to just look like blank to people if they're used to seeing it and they already processed it and they're like, I'll do it later. Like, make it meaningful, make it a positive experience that people are being reminded or sent a flash sale or whatever. Also keeping it short, the more people have to read, the more confusing it's going to be. So you can lose engagement that way as well. Parents are busy, customers are busy, everybody has lives. And you get sent a lot of things on your phone. So the more to the point it is, the better. Also with text, some phones, which I think that most phones are kind of done doing this, but I don't know. You want to keep it like under a certain amount of characters just in general, because sometimes it like chops it up. But so yeah, that's that. Like I said, our text marketing tools kind of fall within these best practices, and we try to help you guys with that, but you can request text. So I would just, this goes back to the main point of creating a strategy and sticking to it. If you do that, you're not going to like overlap, communication that you're sending out or sales and overall taking away the value of what you send. So. Okay, so AdvancePay. I just did a webinar on AdvancePay not too long ago. If you guys want to learn more about that, watch it. But AdvancePay is PhotoDay's prepay solution. So if you guys are used to, capturing sales before pictures are ready, you can use AdvancePay, for the same purpose. Essentially, your customers are purchasing credit amounts that they use towards their order. And the benefit of that is that you're getting parents committed to purchasing. And you can also tie an incentive to it that makes it worth it for parents. You have to make it make sense to them. You can't, you can if you want. And some people do just say, hey, buy a credit if you want. But you can tie an incentive to it. That's going to increase your AdvancePay participation without a doubt. There's tons of different incentive options. Watch my AdvancePay webinar. I go over that in great detail. But this is going to create an engagement. Like I said, even if you make it optional, they're going to go in and they're going to view the options. It's a call to action even before picture day for them to click into the link. And then ultimately they'll have to create a customer account if it's their first time using PhotoDay. And that's going to get them opted in. It creates a reason for people to go into the gallery beforehand. So it can increase your engagement once pictures are ready. And then you also want to make AdvancePay your best offer. this falls into the strategy building thing, why it's super important. If you give free shipping on orders of $35 or more, if they buy an AdvancePay credit, for instance, you don't want to give free shipping on $20 later. You want to reward the customers that, behave in the most ideal way, which is ordering as early as possible. And then from there, if you do other offers, that's fine. But AdvancePay offer or the earliest offer needs to be the best offer. So an example of the messaging that we send to parents with AdvancePay is purchase an AdvancePay credit before picture day and get X offer. So you set that up in your settings, and then we do all the communication in the text and also in the storefront. So that's super convenient as well. I think Emily just shot the AdvancePay webinar replay as well. So if you guys want to check that out, please do. If you're not selling AdvancePay, I recommend it. Okay, so org pages. Org pages is one of our newer features. If you're already using PhotoDay and you haven't started using these, I recommend it. But this is a way that you can create a page per organization that you can have all the jobs that you've done for that organization show on one page. I think this is helpful, like with high school sports, if you're creating a bunch of different jobs throughout the year, parents can go and find all those on the organization page. This is also super important because you can provide the link to the organization, and then it's not going to change, year over year, like the gallery link does. They can use this link. They can put it on their website as like a permanent fixture, or they can have like a QR code on a poster in their front office, and they don't have to change it every single, season or whatever. It's constant, and they can use that as a resource. If people or if parents reach out to the school and they ask like, hey, how can I find the gallery? Which we all know happens. And then the school has to come back to you, give them the org page, then they don't have to come ask you. And, eventually parents are just going to learn that's how they find it. A lot of people tune into their school's websites, and they can, just easily access pictures. You want to provide as many streams of accessing as possible. And I've also seen photographers put org pages for the organizations they shoot on a page on their website as well. So there's a lot of different ways to use them. Okay, ease of use. So you want to have a system that is easy to use and does not create frustration. I think that's super important. You want to tell parents how easy it's going to be to locate their photos and buy them once they get that text message. Like I said, people expect brands to improve their quality of life, and this is one way of showing that. They don't have to have their check or cash ready. They don't have to like pick what they want right then and there. They get to view all the images they want. They get to place their order at their convenience. They can order again. They can send it to grandma. It's way more convenient. So, number one, if you are using group and public galleries, FaceFind makes finding photos super easy. They don't have to scroll through hundreds of pictures or all the pictures from the team. They can use FaceFind, and it's going to pull up all the images of, their subject. Also, gallery lookup for private galleries. I won't go into exactly how this is set up, and sometimes I go on like tangents about how a feature works, but I can kind of confuse people. So I know they'll drop the private galleries webinar in the chat, which explains how to set up gallery lookup. But just to tell you guys what that is, if you're using private galleries, each person has their own individual access code. You want gallery lookup gives them a way to go to a general page that is for the entire the entire organization or the entire school or that entire gallery, and search for their private access code. So if they can't find the email, if you don't have emails, or, if the school needs to send somebody a link, but it's a private gallery lookup is going to bridge that gap. They can enter their student's first name, last name, and then at least one other piece of information, but up to 3. And it comes from the data you upload for private galleries, and then they just go right into their private gallery. So before we created that, private galleries were still amazing, but there was sometimes those cases where, if people didn't have their private access code, it was just, they hit a brick wall. I think, you want to cover as many bases as you can with the solution that you're using, so that parents have an easy time looking for their photos when they're looking for them. I mean, you want it to be right in front of them. If they're looking for them, you don't want to lose that engagement. So, if in order for them to not hit a brick wall, provide as many options as you can. Okay, creating packages that sell. So there's a lot that goes into pricing online, but some of the main points and some of the things you can do with PhotoDay. Number one, a descriptive name for packages. When you're using paper order forms, a lot of times people do like package A, B, C, D because people have to write it down. You don't have to do that online. You can use the package names to explain to people why they should purchase them. Why it's the perfect package for them. For instance, like sibling package, or the basic package or the most popular package. Use that real estate, the package name to explain why they should choose that package. Explain why it improves their quality of life. You also want to focus on value. So, and I think this is super important, especially like keeping your business current. There are traditional items like wallets or, buttons or whatever that may be becoming less and less popular as time goes on. So you're able to add items and packages that, your customers look to purchase. If customers go in and buy 5x7s and magnets, make a 5x7 and magnet package. Create packages that people want, that people are going to be drawn to, instead of focusing on tradition or focusing on fluff, and give them a good value. And also we have a report. So once you start selling with PhotoDay, if you guys are already selling, we have a products report where you can actually see what items your customers are buying the most. And I think that can help you figure out, what can go, what should be included in packages more, etc. So check that out. And you can also offer multiple images. So your images are your inventory. The more options that you have, the higher your chance for selling a larger package. And selling online, I would say with paper order forms, you might get one $60 order per kid every once in a while. But selling online and offering multiple images, that becomes way easier. I mean, average order values are insanely different, versus offering one image. So use that to your advantage. You can create larger package and people are going to buy them. So digital downloads, sell digital downloads. Those are becoming more and more popular. People are on their phones a lot. People don't know exactly what they want to order. They want to get that photo immediately and send it by text. They want to put it on, a t-shirt, who knows? But sell digital downloads, give a good value or give a good savings on them the more they buy. And the great thing about them is they don't have a lab cost. So if you guys aren't selling digital downloads, or if you have them priced sky high, it might be time to, look into that and, make it realistic. Of course, digital downloads are very high value. So I would definitely say stick to that. But we give a lot of options to give people savings the more they purchase. And you can use those to your advantage. And then, the orders for digital downloads are high margins. Customers don't have to pay shipping. Definitely sell digital downloads. And then also just focusing on savings. I think this is important. This is a really good way to encourage people to buy packages. And the purpose of that is that, if they buy a package versus a la carte, they're going to be spending more. They're going to, pay more and get more items because, it makes the most sense to them. If they see the items they want in the package, they're like, okay, I'll just choose that. But you need to provide savings in packages as well. It's not just about the combination of items or what's in them. It also, you have to give them a reason why they should choose that over a la carte. Otherwise, they're just going to buy the two items they're kind of focusing on and head out. So, and you guys will have sample pricing in your accounts. If you haven't checked that out, those go in by default. And, whether you need inspiration or whether you just need a price sheet, there are sample price sheets available for you guys that we created. All right. And then custom storefront. So we've designed a storefront that showcases the items you're selling in a way that makes it easy for customers to understand. We've spent a lot of time kind of observing consumer behavior, and our storefront reflects that. We've, updated it along the way to make the process as easy as possible. So I would say, no matter what you're doing, you want to make sure that the shopping cart you're using is making it easy for people to place their order, and also, showcasing what you offer so that people are drawn towards that. So number one, you can feature products. So on your a la carte items, there is a little star icon and you can feature up to 5 products. And, if you have an item that is high margin or just an item that you know people are drawn towards, you can feature those and they'll show first in your shopping cart. So overall, you want a shopping cart that's going to remove the guesswork. And it's important, the more complicated or the more full your product offering is, the harder it's going to be for your customers to place an order. So you want to make that clean as well. You are the professional, so you can suggest the products or packages that you know make sense because you're an expert in the industry. I mean, parents sometimes don't know what they want. You can tell them and you can keep it simple. Our labs offer a ton of different products. I would not offer every single thing the lab offers. I would take things off that aren't selling using that product report. I would, not sell things that aren't relevant. Maybe make, category specific price sheets so that you're not putting like sports balls on a dance job, things of that nature. Keep it really clean, short and sweet, because the more options people have, people will get paralyzed trying to figure it out. So, okay, now ways to create urgency. So we have a ton of tools for creating a sense of urgency. And this is what's most important when you're figuring out your marketing strategy, besides figuring out what ways you're going to put the communication out. The other end of it is, once you get people to that opted in point, and you want to use those tools that PhotoDay offers to create a sense of urgency, you want to do it in a way that makes sense, giving your best offers first, encouraging people to order early with time-based incentives, and then, closing out the gallery or expiring your best pricing at the end. So I'll go over that. But we have time-based offers, flash sales. We have custom promos you can send out by text. And then you can also expire your galleries and send out information about fundraisers using our custom promos. Okay, so time-based offers. You can use these to encourage early sales, or you can also use them to get last-minute sales with the best price series or with gallery expiration. There's something called gallery promotions. That is going to be where you can attach an offer to the gallery before you release. Well, basically what gallery promotions is showcasing an offer. So anybody who goes into offer as a banner, and it will allow them to click a button and apply that offer, if their order meets the qualifiers at the end of their order. What it's also going to do is include that offer in the communication, the text and the emails that are sent out while the offer is active. And it will also explain the expiration date. So if you guys want to send an offer out right when you publish, you can attach an offer that is going to expire, and it will communicate that for you. That's going to create a sense of urgency right when people get the text message that pictures are ready. Putting an expiration date on your offers is super valuable. That's going to create, that need to go ahead and get in and get the best deal. People do things like free shipping for the first week, or, get a discount if you spend $50 for the first 3 days, whatever that might be. I would highly recommend tying in a time-based offer right when you release. Again, you're giving customers the freedom to order because you're selling online, and that's fantastic. But you need to show them it is most valuable still if you get your order in immediately. Yes. So, and then also I do want to note, if you're doing AdvancePay and you're giving an AdvancePay offer, customers can only apply one offer per order. So you need to keep that in mind. That needs to go into your thought process while you are creating your strategy. Okay, if you're doing an AdvancePay offer, you could maybe also do a gallery offer in the first 48 hours, but you don't want to make it better than the AdvancePay offer, that kind of thing. All right, limited time price sheets. So within custom promos, there's something called a best price series. Again, you're training customers to order early. That being said, you can use the best price sheet or the best price series to encourage people to order early and teach them that the longer they wait, prices are going to go up. So with this one, you're going to have to, you'll have your first 2 weeks price sheet created. That's going to have the best deal on packages, your lowest pricing. You can send out a text that tells people that they have 3 days left before prices go up. That's going to be in custom promos under the store tab. And then at the end of that, once that 3 days hits, you have to go in and switch the price sheet. So this is a great way to create a sense of urgency without giving some sort of dollar amount offer. And you can work this into your strategy, especially if you're doing AdvancePay. Maybe you don't give any other offers besides the AdvancePay offer, but you use best pricing to communicate, create another sense of urgency and let them know that prices are going to go up. And then you're not giving like multiple offers. I would say it's super important. And I think I've probably said this 100 times, but just one more time, use offers to your benefit. Don't flood people with offers. That's going to be another thing that takes away from the value of what you're selling. And, at the end of the day, you guys do a lot of work as volume photographers, as photographers in general. Sometimes it can be easy to, for people to misunderstand the value of what you do, how much work you put into, editing, the actual shoot, all that. So don't, you're not doing yourself any favors by trying to send out 100 flash sales. That's just going to make people think that they can order whenever and they can just wait and you're going to give a sale eventually. But love flash sales still. You can use these in many different ways. I mean, if a holiday is coming up and you want to sell, give people another chance or give people one day to order and get a discount, you can use flash sales within custom promos to do that. So yeah, if you guys want to send out flash sales to old galleries before you expire them, definitely do so. But again, I would, make sure that you're not rewarding customers for waiting. So it's a fine line, but there's nothing wrong with extra sales. So it's a double-edged sword. Gallery expiration. If you guys are not expiring your galleries, and I know every time I talk about this, somebody chimes in and is like, yeah, expire your galleries. I made like so much money. Apart from any flash sale that you do, I would say gallery expiration is going to get you that biggest flood of sales because it's telling people that the gallery is going to close and they're going to have no more chances to order their pictures. That's it. So I would work into your strategy. At what point am I going to expire the gallery? Of course, our regular reminder series goes out over 30 days. So I would at least give people 30 days. We spend a lot of time looking at data to figure out kind of how long the sales cycle is when selling online. So that's why we kind of chose 30 days. People might get paid once a month or twice a month. And you need to allow time for that to happen. The sales cycle is way different than just selling, on picture day and then fulfilling all the orders. So keeping that in mind, you still want to expire galleries, whether it's like at the end of each season, once summertime hits, or, after the holidays for your fall jobs, you can, get into the habit of expiring all your jobs kind of in clumps. I kind of like to say, and that way people learn what you're going to do and they have, they know what to expect. They'll eventually just order instead of waiting. But yeah, go. If you have any old galleries, go put an expiration date on them. We send a text out. If you set an expiration date for the first time in a job, in the settings, it is going to send a text out on that day, letting them know it is the last day to order. So that is the most effective expiration text that goes out, is today is the last day. And that goes out automatically for you guys. But if you want to add an extra text to the series, you can go into custom promos under the store tab once again, and you can request a text that's like, hey, there's 1 week left before galleries expire, to kind of give them, an extra reminder, a little bit of extra time. But expire your galleries. I have heard fantastic things about people expiring and, making all those last minute sales. So yeah. Oh yeah. And one more thing, you can reopen them. You have complete freedom and to do so within PhotoDay. So you can expire them. And then when people start coming back and they're like, oh my goodness, I never pressed order and now it's gone. You can be like, hey, I'm opening it back up for you. But really it's already open. And they feel special. They feel happy. I wouldn't be like, no, it's too late, but don't turn down a sale. I wouldn't do that. I'm sure you guys wouldn't, but you can make them feel special, make them feel like you're opening the gallery up for them. You can even have higher pricing, like an expired price sheet in there. So they see, it's higher prices, but expire, like Justin said, expire those galleries. That's right. All right, types of incentives. So there are speed-based incentives that would be like, creating a sense of urgency. Like for the first 48 hours, you get free shipping. There's spend-based incentives that would be, spend $100 and get 15% off. That can encourage larger orders. That can also, if you have a lot of siblings for a job and you kind of worry that people aren't going to, they're going to order a little because they have so many kids, you can use spend-based incentives for that reason. And that way they can buy that, deluxe package for each kid. And then when they hit $150, they'll get a discount. So those are helpful. Competition-based, there is a setting within the offer creation that is called max redemption. So you can set a number like 20 there, and PhotoDay is automatically going to communicate that the first 20 customers get the special offer. So that encourages people to beat everybody else and get the offer. That one can be really cool. Early bird incentives. So I would say AdvancePay is the best example of an early bird incentive. If they buy early, they save, and they're doing better than the people that wait. And then also offering multiple poses. So if you guys are offering a lot of poses, people are going to be incentivized to buy more because they can't leave without, buying that crying picture, even though they want the basic picture, or, they will add the silly team photo on top of their entire package because they want the regular one, but they also like the silly one, or buddy shots. The more options you're giving, people are going to be incentivized to place larger orders because they can't just leave those other cute images. So, and then bulk discount. I would say we have bulk shipping. That's going to create kind of a sense of urgency in a speed way because people have until X date to get their order in and it be included in the bulk shipment. They're not having to pay shipping. And that can encourage them to go ahead and get their order in. And also, if your customers are used to receiving their order passed out at the school or at the last practice, you can use bulk shipping with private galleries, and the incentive that is kind of naturally tied in there is another benefit of using it. So, all right. And here's some examples. I think I jumped the gun here, but I think I say speed-based incentive all the time, or spend-based incentive, but these are examples. Offer a gallery expiration, speed-based; friendly competition, speed-based; early motivation with AdvancePay. And then spend-based would be spend X amount and get a dollar amount off or a percentage off, or also offering multiple poses as a spend-based incentive as well. All right, guys. I could talk about this all day. I realized I was getting close to an hour. I'm like, goodness. So I'll take questions now. I'll go ahead and look at those. But, in summary, look at each of these 4 things, figure out how you as a business are doing a good job at these things and maybe what you can do better. And that is going to help in the long run with getting your customers on board and ultimately making more sales and getting more participation. So hopefully this webinar was helpful for you guys. Let's jump into questions. All right. So will there be a time when we can save our template, I guess, for marketing flyers? Yes, there has to be, because that would be super helpful. I know that is a very highly requested feature or improvement on our marketing flyers feature. If you want to, Matt, go to the bubble and make sure you submit that as feedback. Just so you guys know, if there's ever anything you want to see, any, improvement you want to a feature or a new feature you'd like to see, if you guys go to our support chat, which is in the bottom right of your studio account, you can send that feedback in. And we can either talk through it, or what that actually does is we tag it, and that's going to kind of upvote those features. So as we're putting together our roadmap, we see exactly what people want. So never be afraid to send feedback. Even if you're just like, hey, just dropping in, here's a little feedback, have a nice day. Definitely send that into the bubble. But I know I want to see that one too. So stay tuned. Okay. And then, All right. So on reopening a gallery would be a good practice to open again for Christmas stocking stuffers or for a limited product list. And are any photographers doing that? So number one, I would say, yes, people do that. I would say there is a benefit to doing that. And that's definitely a way to use like flash sales and get some of those orders in, especially once like holidays hit and, you know, you guys are kind of slowing down from the fall season most of the time. But a couple of things, I mean, I think everybody has differing opinions. And number one, you know, look at your strategy and plan way ahead. And if this is something that you want to do, I would start thinking about it early and maybe form your strategy around that. Sometimes, you know, I think it's fine to reopen galleries and then send sales out. But at the same time, you want to maintain that trust in the communication you're sending out. So if you send out an expiration text, for instance, in October, and then in November, they get a text that's like, hey, now you can go back in. Of course, I think that's realistic. I think that's, you know, there's not much harm to it. But at the same time, you know, maybe the next time they might not trust that expiration text because they know that you reopened it. So therefore, you know, for instance, with fall galleries, if you wanted to not expire it before the holidays, and then I would say in November would be the best time to kind of send out, you know, for example, a holiday special for the winter holidays so that they get enough time to place their order and receive it by Christmas. But then, you know, you can have that special and then expire your galleries after the holidays, which I've heard a lot of people do anyways. Like, you know, people are not spending money over the holidays. Of course they are for gifts, but that's what they're focused on. So, you know, if you expire your galleries on December 20th, you're probably not going to get as much return as if you expire them, you know, the 1st of January, like that first or second week when people are getting back to spending money, you know, in a more general sense. So again, that's why it's so important to build the strategy. And it is great to do kind of like product specific price sheets. We have a ton of fun products that the lab offers. But you also want to keep in mind, like, what is your end goal? So you're trying to get sales on those specialty products, but then, you know, do they make you great margins? You know, for instance, if an ornament costs you X amount and then you're only able to price it, you know, so high, you know, maybe it's better to do a great sale on digitals. So I think those are all things to think about. But it's definitely a great idea and something that we offer the tools to do. So that was my super long answer that I feel very strongly about. I feel so strongly about creating a marketing strategy. So if you guys need to talk that through, please hit our support chat. We only get paid when you get paid. That's how PhotoDay works. So therefore, we have a team that has your back. If you guys are just getting started, please schedule a call with us to go over, you know, how PhotoDay will work best for you. If you're already using PhotoDay, you can schedule a call to go over stuff like this or stuff like how your picture day goes. And, you know, we always are, you know, we have a ton of tips on what works, and we're also learning what works every day when we're talking to other photographers. So we'll share that with you guys as well. But included in the cost of PhotoDay, which is listed there, we have, you know, our marketing tools, our workflow tools, and we also have our team that will help you like with pretty much anything you need, from pricing to marketing to workflow. And we have a ton of marketing resources as well, which I went over today. So all of the webinars are recorded. This one will be recorded. And we also have a webinar replays page. If anybody from PhotoDay is still in the chat, maybe they can drop that. But otherwise, George, it is going to be under the PhotoDay Academy under webinar replays on your studio homepage. So check that out. The replay for this one will be out soon. And we do have one on pricing. So check that one out. But yeah, I already said, reach out to us, please. Even if you just want to talk about the weather, I am available. Our other CSMs and bubble people are available, and we love to hear from you guys. So yeah, thank y'all for coming to another webinar. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.